Hey there, welcome to the the Shelter in Place CP drawing stream. My name is John Middick. I'm so glad that you joined me today. And happy Memorial Day to you if you're celebrating Memorial Day here in the United States. Then I want to give you a welcome, a hearty welcome, especially if you're visiting for the first time over here on the channel. If this is your first time being here, and you've stumbled across this particular live stream, then I want to invite you back. We've been doing these for a little while now, and I think this is our fifth feature that we've been drawing of the face, the fifth facial feature, and we've taken an ear, and we've done that. Hey, Carol, how are you? Thanks for joining. We've started a study on last Wednesday, out of this ear. So I was looking at it just a little while ago. Didn't really have a chance to look at it too much before, but I noticed obviously there's some differences. And Sergi Man, thanks for joining us over here. And Somia, Sergi Man is over on YouTube Live. And Somia and Carol over on Facebook. So I know it is just a study, and there's, not a lot of rules with it. But I thought that it might be an interesting thing to go ahead and point out some of the differences. And they're probably pretty obvious. But let's see here. Thought I had another reference of this ear floating around. Guess I don't. Okay, so right here there's a difference in, if we look at this line right here, this line over here, you'll notice mine's quite a bit different in that regard. So this line over here should be over here, and then this particular line should be angled a little bit more. Over here, the earlobe right here in this area should come down. The angle isn't too bad. Should come down right around in here, though. And then if I look over here, I could make an angle out of that, and that would be, down in here. So yeah, Harry is joining us, obviously, over there on Facebook, as he always does, it seems like. And yeah, I can't believe it's Monday again either, Harry. Another week. Sergi Man says if you tip the paper a little bit to the right, it basically fixes itself. Okay, so that may be true. The other angle right in here is one I want to notice. There's some more angles where we could scoot that ear over a little bit. So there's a couple of things. Well, maybe just one thing that I do want to just demonstrate. If this were something that I really cared about, and it wasn't just a study, then first off, I would have gone a little slower. I would have measured a little bit more, right? Secondly, there's some things we can correct. So I want to show how to correct something. So say I want to move this particular portion of the helix over, this area right here. So first off, I want to sort of demonstrate how I want to fix it. So if I look over here, I can push this line over a little bit, and I'm going to use a darker pencil so I can see where everything is. And I'll push this over like that. Okay, and then next, this line, I want it to go maybe even right in here, something like that. So we're not going to correct it entirely, but we're just going to fix a few things. Okay, and I just want to show how you can do that on Pastelmat. And there's a lot of ways that you can erase with colored pencil, a lot of different methods for doing that. We're going to use the short brutal method. It's a term I made up for it. Down here, I want to do this. I want to push this over just a little bit. So what is the short brutal method? Short brutal method is instead of trying to lift and nudge and tug and lighten up with pencils and that sort of thing, correcting with pencils by leaning things in a light direction or a warm direction or a cool direction, and then darkening the value is one way to do it. But here's something you can do is you can use this mono eraser, sand eraser, and it will hold up to this. So you can just start removing some of this by, this is the brutal way, by just pressing really hard. And you actually don't have to press all that hard. But if you use some consistent pressure, you'll remove enough of it. Okay. Sergi, man, have you, he says, those are some very bold changes. I would never have the stuffing to do. Have you used Pastel Mat yet? I think you have. Anyway, it is pretty forgiving. And on sanded paper, you even have some other options available to you, but that's a different discussion for a different day. Okay, so we move this over by pressing down on that. And over here, we're just going to make that a little bit longer for the most part. So we're not going to correct everything, but we'll correct a couple of little key areas here. Make it closer to the reference when we do that. Okay. Now, so what that does is it sort of digs into the tooth of the paper, but on Pastel Mat, you've got that very, very strong cellulose finish on it. And it will, it'll hold up. So it'll be fine. Go back in this direction. I want to at least get rid of this dark blue line, right, that I created. Okay, and then what did we start with? Unfortunately, it's been, 4 days or something? So I'm trying to remember. A lot has happened in that time. And I think I started with... So Sergi Man says, yes, I did. So he's used Pastel Mat. He says, even so, I would never bulldoze over hours of work. I would rather try to make it work in that context. Yeah, and that's probably what I would do too. But I just do want to show how that this can work. So often a student will say, oh, it's too late. There's nothing I can do. But no, it isn't too late. So I think I use Caput Mortem. So if not, this is close enough anyway that we can, I think, get it back to kind of where we had it. Okay, so there's our construction line right there. This shadow bends back about like that. I need to make sure that I am looking at this the right way, though, that I'm not turned. Okay, and then this comes out like this. That's my interpretation, is it's doing something kind of like that. Okay. Let's take a look at it. Okay. Now, yeah, Sergi Man's asking if the Faber-Castell ink eraser, would it work similar? Yes, it would, because it has a little bit of grit in it as well. It's not bad. I've found that I really enjoy this one quite a bit, though. This Tombow Mono. It's a Tombow Mono sand eraser, if anyone's interested. That is just one of the best erasers that there is for colored pencil. And once in a while, if you'll buy this, you'll find that it'll even say colored pencil eraser on it. But, yeah. Yes, Harry, it is. It is a last resort method. it's the quick method. It's the quick live stream method too. I'll put it that way. Because yeah, I would never do this on a commission. I would instead, like I mentioned, I would finesse with it a little bit, and I would work on leaning things in a different direction. And if it was a gross, just an atrocious error, I would first start lifting things with a kneaded eraser and/or sticky putty. Yes, it would. So Sergi Man's asking an important question there. Would it erase away a cotton paper? That's actually something that I think is. Let me see. I've got a piece of some of that right here somewhere. I think I would like to demonstrate that really quick. Okay, so here's some Stonehenge paper. All right. So let's say I made a mistake on this. Let's just put this down. I think this is a worthwhile discussion. Okay. Let's say I did that. I don't want to press too hard, or I'm going to press into my other paper. I don't think I will, though. Let's say I put all these colors down, and I found out, oops, didn't want to do that. I actually wanted to draw instead of scribble. So what I could do then is, the first thing I would do is I would try to lift, right? I'd sit there and I'd play around with this forever. And I would say, took some of that off. Okay, let's move that. Let's keep lifting. And I would, use a new surface, lift, and move the sticky putty around so that I get a new area, and keep working on that surface to remove that. That's doing pretty well. The next thing I could do is I could use magic tape. Where did my magic tape? Okay, I don't see my magic tape. So after I do that, and that would get quite a bit off as well, then I could use my good old Tombow Mono Sand Eraser. Let's zoom in here just a little bit. I want to show this. The thing is, you have to be careful with it, because if you just start, just start pressing really hard and scrubbing really hard, then you're going to just tear into that cotton paper. And instead, what I want to do is be very careful and increase my pressure gradually. So I just want to use a little bit of pressure and increase it gradually to see how much I'm going to be able to remove. Because you're actually going to remove some of the fibers of that cotton paper when you start pressing too hard, which sometimes is the choice that you want to make. Okay, now, if I isolated that and I looked only at that area, that's enough. That is enough to start drawing again in that area. Okay, so I hope that made sense. So I could come back in there with a very light, delicate color. Now, I hope you can see that, and even fade that away. Okay, so don't believe the people that say, "Oh, you can never erase. There's nothing that you can do." You can. I guess they've just never tried. I don't know. I'm not sure what's going on with that. But, it's certainly something that is a last resort. You don't want to erase right away. That's not something you want to do in colored pencil. And you're better off being cautious at the very beginning, right? Okay. Sergi Man says that is some high-class kneaded eraser. Yeah, so it's... sticky putty, museum quality sticky putty, and it works really well with colored pencil. Okay, so let's get back in here and let's create a base. Then, yeah, you're very welcome, Harry. I hope that did help. So remember, this is our quick method. This is not our end all be all, first go to. So Sergi Man says, "Well, my Stonehenge pad ran under the bed after that demonstration." That's hilarious. Yeah. Okay. So let's create a lighter base to work on top of this. All right. And while we're at it, I'm going to match that value just a little bit right in here, because there is a little bit of a highlight right there and right here. I stuck a presentation board underneath the pastel mat. Has a little bit of a bounce, a little bit of a sponginess to it. It works a little bit better because I started noticing that there were just some things that were starting to look a little uneven when I was drawing last week, and that's because of the support that I'm on underneath there. The surface that you put this on makes a difference. Kind of like if you've used drafting film. Whatever you put the drafting film on top of, it's going to pick that up. So you have to think about that. Think about what's underneath the surface you're working on. Can make a difference. No, it's fine. Sergi Man's saying sorry. He's talking. He's keeps harping on the same subject. No, I love it. I love the whole conversation about erasing on with colored pencil. This is something I go over in the beginner's colored pencil course because there's so many myths out there. So many people don't believe this stuff. And actually, yes, Bristol, you can erase on. In fact, it's difficult, I feel like, to find a surface that I cannot erase on. And like I said, there's just so many myths swirling around out there in the colored pencil community or those that teach it. And many of them just want to say that you can just never erase with colored pencil, and it just ain't so. It's just not the case. You can erase. And I don't know why that's a pervasive myth. I really don't know why. It's more challenging. I mean, if you come from graphite, certainly if you come from charcoal and graphite, then maybe that's what you come away believing, that you just cannot erase. I don't know, but it's just something that I found that people just need to find out about that. They need to be informed about that, and I'm happy to help with that, because I just think it's sad if you spend all that time, hours of work in some cases, and then all of a sudden you're just like, wow, I messed up, I can't erase, I guess I'll start over. Like, no, don't start over. Starting over is just one of the last things I would ever want to do. While we're on tips and suggestions and shortcuts, there's something else I wanted to talk to you guys about or tell you about. I found this colored pencil, or it's not a colored pencil sharpener, but it is a sharpener. It's a pencil sharpener. So I wanted to show you that. So Sergi Man said that's a great point. Actually, me personally, I feel like avoiding lifting up color by spending way too much time on the base sketch. 3 days is my record until color finally touched the paper. I can totally relate to that because often what I'm doing is, sounds like maybe you're doing something similar, is like a grisaille method, where you're building up values first. Yeah, yeah, exactly. Sergi Man's pointing out that you do see some artists, colored pencil artists, using craft knives and battery-operated erasers to create highlights or to create special effects in their work. Yeah, exactly. So you can use the same methods for taking color away, and that's essentially what they're doing. Um, whether they, you know, characterize it as that or not. Um, maybe it's just that they're not thinking about the fact that that's what they're doing. I've talked to some colored pencil artists, and I remember over 10 years ago talking to some when I was trying to learn the medium, and I said something about erasing. I said, "Well, erasing it? How do you, start fixing problems whenever you run into them?" And their answer was not a very good one. They said, "You don't make mistakes. You don't have problems." And I rarely ever erase because I rarely ever make any mistake. They said something like that. I remember one in particular telling me that. And I just remember thinking, okay, that's not going to work for me. I'll make mistakes. I make plenty of mistakes. A lot. And there has to be a different way of figuring this out. And there was. But I don't know if they really believed that or if they just thought that. I don't know. I don't know why they said that. It was weird. That's a good point. Sergi Man does come from graphite and charcoal. I do too, Sergi Man, so I understand that. Yeah, Harry's mentioning Karen Hull uses the ceramic knife. There's many colored pencil artists, right, that do that, and yeah, it's some beautiful work. Okay, now let's. Bonnie Snowden is another one in particular that will do that, and the list goes on and on of colored pencil artists that will use the knife. I don't know that Karen. I'm not sure about Bonnie. I don't know that she ever says that you can't use. I don't think she ever says you can't use an eraser, though. Pretty sure she doesn't say that. At least when I spoke with her, when I interviewed her for the podcast, I think I remembered us. I'm not sure if it made it in the final cut, but I think I remembered she and I talking about erasing and erasing methods. Not sure if it made it in the final cut, but we did have a conversation about it, from what I recall. Okay. Let's start adding a little bit of color in here, and then there's some other colors I wanted to add in here as well, but I got to get this area caught up to where we were. Trying to use my quick draw method without sacrificing quality. Sometimes it's not real possible to do that, but we'll try. All right. Oh, I was going to talk about that sharpener, though, a moment ago. Yeah, so if you start getting pencils, I wish I could remember who it is that told me about this. But if you start getting pencils that are real tiny, like this, and you're tempted to just throw them away, I found this particular sharpener that will work. Because the problem whenever you're using a pencil sharpener where you have to stick the shaft of the pencil way down into this cylindrical device, then you have a problem where that shaft of that pencil has to go way down here. Instead, with this one, it's only that much that is inside the area that has to reach the sharpener. So there we go. So it's a good alternative to using sharpeners that need a whole bunch of the shaft of the pencil. Oh, so Sergi, man, you're one of my podcast listeners, huh? Well, that's good to know. Awesome. Yeah, I really feel like that there's probably a lot of us that started. A lot of us, meaning those of us that are in colored pencil, that started with graphite and charcoal. A lot of painters started graphite and charcoal. It's a good way to start because you learn value. You learn the basics of so many things. All right. So let's get a little darker in here. Right up here. There we go. And right there. Okay. Hey, Melanie. Melanie's over there on Facebook. Yeah, I knew that about Melanie as well. And somebody tell me if I have his name wrong, but yeah, I started out and learned a lot from, I think his name was Daryl Tank of Five Pencil Method, I believe. And he had some great advice about just how to do art, how to look at portraits and think about everything. I think it was for me it was a good place to start because it gave me some basics and to think about some things that were very important with regard to creating art and creating portraits in particular as well. There we go. So Melanie has started with Daryl Tank as well. Yeah. So as an adult coming back to art, that's what I started doing. I saw some of his free stuff online, and I thought it was fantastic and very exciting. So I think he may still do, I don't know. He may still do some of that stuff, but he may not. I'm not real sure. Very cool, Melanie. We have that in common. We have a lot in common, actually. So that's just another thing we have in common. We may have talked about that in the past, now that I think about it. But Melanie has also gone to... Oh, that's so funny, Carol. So Melanie has also gotten to... She got to attend a workshop of... oh man, J.D. Hilberry, is that his name? I think that's his name. So that's kind of cool too. Okay. So Harry and Melanie say that he's still doing work. I'm guessing we're still talking about Daryl Tank. And Harry says he's doing colored pencil work. That's cool. the time that I was watching some of the stuff he was doing, he wasn't doing colored pencil. Yeah, J.D. Hilberry is who Melanie um, got to. She got to attend a workshop, I believe, of his. That's really cool. He's got one of the most famous images that has been floated around on online for over a decade now, I guess, something like that. Okay. Okay. I did know that. So Harry and Melanie are both confirming that Daryl uses the call erase pencils. I did know that. Yeah, because because I don't. I'm not sure why he does that. It's an interesting choice. I'll put it that way. All right. Let's see here. So probably need. Yeah, there's just not much you can do with the call erase pencils. I mean, you can do some things, but okay. So now that we've got all of that added back, let me look here. Let me increase this area right here. That's probably enough of a context over there for us. I don't need to add, everything over there. Okay, so let's see here. Let me get more of that contour in here. I want to check my time. I can't go forever here tonight. I do want to add a little bit of a brighter color here in a moment. There we go. So Sergi Man's asking, I think you're asking this of me, what kind of environment do I like to work in? Music, audiobooks, podcasts, or plain silence? Hey, Shiny, how are you? Shiny is over there on YouTube. So I like to mix it up a little bit, Sergi Man, but I have to admit that often I'm listening to audiobooks or I'm listening to podcasts. And what I found happening a lot, though, is that if I'm doing something for, a demonstration that's going to go in a course or something like that, that there can be an audio book or podcast playing, and I don't even hear any of it. Time I'm done, I'm just like, what did they say? I'm not paying a whole lot of attention to it. And then if it's something that I'm really going in some uncharted territory a little bit with drawing, then I enjoy just complete silence. Once in a while I listen to music, but not real often. I don't know why that is. I really enjoy music, but I don't know. I find that there's so many other things in in running an online business that I'm thinking about a lot of other things that I should be, doing as well. And so I find myself battling my thoughts a lot of times and thinking about other things that I need to be thinking about and worrying about and doing. And so it's hard for me to kind of just calm down and relax and not think about all those other things while I'm drawing. And if it gets too overwhelming, then I'll turn on some music to calm myself down and to not think about those things, and I can go on autopilot. There we go. Yeah, there's something about that. I mean, I know I know what you're saying exactly. Um, this makes I don't know. This might seem a little weird, but I really enjoy one particular show that I enjoy a lot. Is It's called X minus one. It's an old sci-fi radio drama, and that one's really nice to just help me to not even think about anything because I've heard all of them anyway, and so I don't even think about what's being said. It's more of a comfort just to hear just to hear that, and I've heard them all anyway. So it's more of the music and all of that. It's interesting to think about what they thought might be happening in 2000 and beyond in that show. I just find it entertaining. But I do like. There's one thing I always like to listen to, no matter what. I don't know if you guys like listening to technology shows, um, but there's a show called Twit that I really do love. It's called This Week in Tech, and it's I don't know. It's just such a good show. It's been around forever. Probably one of the oldest podcasts ever. I can't sit through an entire show usually though, because they just get it goes for about 2 hours or something, and they just go off on all kinds of little tangents, and I get kind of tired of it from time to time. All right, let's see here. Let's add a little bit. Okay, what I wanted to do is get a couple of different colors here. Oh, one thing I forgot. Let's see. It's a little bit too blue. So Angel, thanks for joining, Angel. She's saying she used to listen to Janis Joplin. Um, it's a different story when you're in a workplace environment and you'd rather not interact with everybody around you. I totally get that. I used to listen to a lot of things when I had a day job. Um, that yeah, I don't miss that at all. Okay, let's grab maybe Pompeian red, and let's grab whatever this is. It looks like the right color. I can't read this. Burnt sienna, I think. Yeah, burnt sienna. Okay. So if I can use a light touch here a little bit, and we may refer to this as the ugly stage, and it's okay. So I want to add a layer of this, and I want to go a little darker than normal, and then I want to lean it back in a different direction on top. Once I put this everywhere that I want to put it, and I'm looking for some of the contours, looking for some of the areas where it's a little more red and it's a little now see right in here it's a little darker as well. Right in here I'm having a little bit of trouble. Maybe I should zoom in a little bit so you can see this. Having a little bit of trouble getting this to adhere to the surface, probably because I erased right in there quite a bit. Okay, so that can happen, but the thing I don't, so it's a little bit uneven is what's happening. The thing I don't want to do is I don't want to just start pressing really hard though right there. If I can just keep softly, putting this on, then what will happen is I can press harder later with another color, and I'll be able to get more on there, and it will look more smooth than what it would if I just started pressing really hard right now. So, Angel, you're talking about getting a lot of layers on here, and is it Pastel Matte that's allowing that possibility? And it really is. It is Pastel Matte. Yeah, I highly recommend Pastel Matte. I'm a little cautious in recommending Pastel Matte to someone that's brand new and just starting out in the medium, only because it's rather costly. And so if you're not sure, if you're going to stick with the medium, but I know you, Angel, you're going to, then it's kind of a hard sell. But other than that, if it's somebody who's sure of the medium, they like the medium, and they want to stick with it, then I think it's a great surface to work on. Okay, same way in here. It's going down a little uneven in certain areas, and that's all right. I'm not pressing really hard, even though it may look like I am. I'm not. And I'm doing that intentionally, and where I can't get it to adhere in certain spots, then I can turn my pencil a little bit and rub it around just in certain little areas and try to make it adhere to those areas and skip over the areas where it has already started adhering to the surface of the paper. So let's go up into this lighter value right in here just a little bit, and then let's darken this quite a bit over here as we get closer to this ridge, and keep working our way back up here. Oh, that's funny. Sergi Man says, found out the back of Stonehenge paper is practically useless for his techniques. Wonder what techniques those are, because I didn't know there's a huge difference in Stonehenge on the front and the back. That's interesting. Okay, let's push more of that over here. I don't doubt it, though. It seems to be the case with a lot of papers. Angel saying, turn it over and reuse it. It's too expensive not to use both sides. That's so funny. Yeah. We're getting that dark red in here though, which is really great. Okay. And I want to think about contours mostly whenever I'm putting this on, because this color has a darker value than much of what is already down here, right? It's an interesting thing about colors, the colors that we're using in colored pencil, they do have a value. They have an intrinsic value to them. And if squinting your eyes and looking at them helps you to figure out, oh yeah, that's the color value that is, that one would fit really well with this other blue color as far as value is concerned, then that's what you can do. Just squint your eyes a little bit. Sometimes that doesn't help though. Sometimes it's hard to tell what the value of the color is, and so you can take a cell phone picture shot of it and then just turn that into black and white, and then you can see what the value is, and that helps quite a bit. Okay, we're just going to create a line up here for where that top edge is and that contour starts, right? And then just extend that over here. There we go. Let me take a look here. Okay. I suspect this little area will be very uneven. It wasn't too bad. Wasn't too bad. Okay. Probably close enough here. I hope you guys are able to, well, for one, I hope you're off work. If you work a regular 9 to 5 type of job or in the evening, I hope that you were able to be off work today. Hope you're not working retail. But if you were, I hope everything went well. I don't know, is retail even open right now? But with the virus, stay-at-home stuff. But otherwise, I hope you were able to spend some time with friends and family today. All right. So Carol is working today till 11 p.m. Wow, that's probably a long day. Okay, so I'm going to try something here. I'm going to use this dusky pink, and I'm going to press kind of hard, and this is a light fast color. So this will smooth out some of the areas, okay? And then I want to come back in with another color, and then we'll wrap it up here. And then I've got a special announcement to make tomorrow, not today. The only announcement I want to make today is that if you're interested in the Beginner's Colored Pencil course, it is on sale at the moment. It's 30% off, and you could get started learning colored pencil if that's something that you're interested in or it's a good fit for you. And you can use the code MD2020 at checkout if you go over to the Sharpened Artist Academy. But otherwise, tomorrow I do have an exciting announcement about something totally free, and I have an announcement that I'll make tomorrow about um, these live streams and what we're going to be doing with them. Okay, let's go back in this direction. So I just want to cover most of the area with this pink color. And so this is more of a middle value. So I'm looking for the areas that are emerging from the dark shadows to middle values, and from the highlights to middle values. Probably ought to sharpen this. So this pencil right here is nearly a good candidate for that particular sharpener when things get really tiny. It's getting close. Okay. Well, so Angel, that's a good question, and an important question actually. So she's asking over on YouTube Live. She says, "How did you know that you needed to press hard? The pencil, the color, what was it?" So one of the things is the amount of layers that I've already built up, and the colors themselves that I've already put down, right? So I've already got a good base right now, I believe, for being able to blend these colors together. And so if I'm pressing harder, that's what I'm doing. I'm blending these other pencil layers together, right? Well, and the other thing is this particular pencil, the Lightfast brand of pencil, is one that is a little more creamier than, say, like the Polychromos. Polychromos is a little more dusty, a little more chalky on this surface. There is more, when you're using Polychromos, there's more dust, on a non-absorbent surface like pastel matte, or certainly on sanded paper. There's a lot of dust, but not as much on pastel matte, but it has a different look and feel than the Derwent Lightfast pencil line does. So those are some of the reasons. The other thing is that I'm getting close to being done, and so it's a stylistic, I guess I should say, choice. It's a style choice. Do I want this to have a real saturated look with none of the paper texture showing through, And in this case, yes, I do. I want it to not have any of the texture of the paper really showing through. And so that's the style choice. Some artists choose to show some of the paper showing through, and that's totally fine, and it has a different look and feel in it. It's kind of a cool thing. I kind of like that look sometimes. Okay, so this is not the color that I would want to finish with, right? This is a good middle value color. And some other things I think I would want to do, right? So, let me grab this. So I'm going to go back in a more saturated, and what I'm talking about is the color, the more saturated color, not saturated as far as the coverage of the piece is concerned, but saturated in the sense of the red color. So a very bold red right in here, this Pompian red. And then we'll add a lighter color on top to show some of the contour again, but I think this will help to bring out just some of the areas where we've got light hitting certain areas. And the edges of shadows, right? Where the edges of shadows start to occur. I feel like that what happened with my reference when I started editing it, probably not an ideal edit for a drawing, for me anyway. I don't like to have like that high dynamic range look to a photo when I am drawing from it. But that's exactly what this kind of reminds me of, is more of that HDR kind of look on the photo. And so personally I want to get away from that a little bit. I don't particularly care for the HDR kind of look in a drawing. I know some people do like that, and it's fine. It's just a style choice, I guess. But anyway, that might have been a circuitous way of answering your question, Angel. I hope that did answer it. I was trying to. Wasn't trying to beat all around the bush or prance around the question or be evasive, but I've used the surface before, and really that is the bottom line, is just experience on pastel mat, just experience on using the different pencils on this particular surface will tell you, and I don't think it takes a long time to figure that out, but it will tell you, oh, okay, I know because I've done this before that I can get so many more layers on here, and now it's time to push this in a different direction, Okay, let's look around here. This area, this is a little tricky area right in here where there's really not a crease up in here, but it reads like that often. And as it changes down here, and everything starts to turn outward, and then we've got this portion of the earlobe changing directions, and the geometrical shape of all of this is very interesting, and it just keeps changing, but it changes so gradually and slowly that it's hard to track that and to figure out what it's doing. Okay, I think I've got enough on there now. So now, hit this one more time with brighter color in a couple areas. And here. There we go. Oh yeah, it might have been too orange though, Angel. You might be right. Okay, let's go down here. Okay, now I can grab a middle or a local value that I want to sort of end with. And then we could just call it done once we're done with that. Okay. Let me find that pencil. Around here somewhere. There it is. All right. So we can end with our good old burnt ochre 10%. There we go. Let's see if we can create a little bit of a contour here with this now, and that this ending with this local color here. Oh, thanks guys, appreciate it. Thanks, Sergi, man. So Fifth T, I guess, is over there on YouTube Live. And so you're asking, is that white polychromos that I'm using right now? No, I'm using a luminance color that's called burnt ochre 10%. Is what this one is. I did use some polychromos pencils in here, but not that one. And we just got done using Pompian Red. What I love about polychromos pencils is, one of the many things I love about them is they'll just seal everything in, and they'll kind of brush things. They'll kind of add a little bit of this effect where it will push some of the pigment that maybe just wasn't jiving, you know, it wasn't sitting real well. It will kind of mesh it down. So 50 is asking the one I used just before the previous one. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah, so this is Ivory, is what it is, by Polychromos. Yeah, apologize. I should have figured that out. All right. I want to cover a lot of that Pompian Red, but when I'm going over the Pompian Red, I'm not pressing as hard. The Luminance pencils it's a very hard lead on most of those pencils. And it has the ability to, like I said, just kind of brush everything, push everything in a certain direction. Yeah, you're welcome. Okay. was talking to 50 over there on YouTube. I guess that's how you pronounce your particular username over there. If I want this to look smooth on this earlobe, then I can just keep using all these linear strokes, and eventually it will look smooth. Or the other thing I could do is use those little ovals that so many people like. I just never have liked those too much. I just don't like doing them. I do use them once in a while, but just not something I use right away or often. It's kind of a last resort, I guess. If no other pencil stroke will work, then to create the texture that you need, then sometimes that has to be what you do, is use those little ovals. Otherwise, I kind of go insane when I start doing them. But I know they work out really well for a lot of people, and it's a meditative kind of thing for many. There's a lot of red in this ear, and so I do want to capture that. I do want to make sure that there's a lot of red that is shown, in this ear. Now this is sort of a brighter area right there. A little bit of some contour lines right in here, just a little bit, and then we could also add a little bit of that darker red again, or even the Caput Mortem. We could do that in that area, just to darken that value just a little bit right in there. And even up here just a little bit. Right in there, it looks like it needs a little bit more of that burnt sienna right in there, and try to get rid of that line over here. I don't want a line, I don't think. I want something that has a solid value, and then contours just a little bit as it moves away from that edge. It's a little bit better. And then it starts to taper over here and down here. Okay. All right. Here we go. Hey, Ramona. Ramona is over on Facebook Live. Thanks for joining. Okay. Better late than never, right, Ramona? Hope you're doing well. Hope you're able to spend some time with family today. Okay. I'm about to go over to my cousin's here when I'm done. I said, they were wanting us to come over a little earlier. I said, can we wait till... Oh, okay, you've been here. So, and I said, can we wait till my live stream is over? So I don't want to miss that. And I said, yeah, okay. So that was nice. Anyway, that was the interpretation that I had. That was passed on to me by my wife. That's what was said, and that's what we're doing. So, okay. Just a little bit more right in there. Okay. We could spend all day on this, right? But I think we're going to call it close enough. I was going to say we're going to call it done, but we're not going to call it done. We're going to call it close enough to being done. And we're going to leave it alone. And I hope you were able to draw along with us while we worked on this. And that's exciting to me when I find out that you guys are able to work on some of these. It's just a lot of fun. And again, let me just say that... Oh, thank you, Ramona. Appreciate that. Let me just say that tomorrow, make sure you come back tomorrow if you can. And I'm going to be talking about some things that we'll be offering. And I'm excited about it. So, very cool, Carol. That's awesome. Yeah, if you come back tomorrow, we got some things we'll announce, and hopefully we'll be able to see you here. And I don't know, I'm just really jazzed up about it and excited about it, and so it should be a lot of fun. Oh, you know what? That needs that shadow to go inside there just a little bit. It helps create that contour. I missed that till just now. Okay, like I said, we could spend an eternity on this, and I've been spending a lot of time on it, so I need to probably stop. There we go. Okay, close enough, and that was fun. I hope you guys enjoyed that. So let's see here. There we go. Okay, I gotta put it down and stop looking at it. Got a little bit of some of the eraser I'm seeing right in there. Okay, well, guys, thanks so much for joining. And if you're watching the replay, there's some links down below. Might be important to you as well. But tomorrow, come back out here tomorrow, 5 p.m. Eastern Time. And we've got an announcement to make tomorrow. Things are starting to open up. And, this is called a shelter-in-place drawing string that we were doing while we were, bound at home. And so we're going to change some things. And, I know some of you guys really enjoyed this. And so I don't want to just, cold turkey stop everything. So there's some things that I'll talk to you more about tomorrow. And until then, stay sharp. Bye-bye.